So give it a couple of seconds after I clap.
Otogani.
Give it a couple of seconds after
You not listen to what you just said.
That was a couple of seconds.
Give it a couple of seconds, and then that way, when I edit it, it's a lot easier. Do you know what I mean?
Otogani. Right? Hajime.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Touch My Clock videos. These episodes we're going to be talking about Japan, everything that's Japanese. First of all, let's not forget all of you to
Like,
subscribe, click the bell, follow us on all social media channels, they'll be below. So yeah, we're talking about Japanese things today. So it's a couple rolls, a couple shots coming in the video where you're going to see it. And today, what are we going to talk about? What are we talking about, Max?
we're going to be talking about one of the major brands in Japan, if not almost. It's almost like there's a monopolization. That brand completely engulfed most people's belief of what a Japanese watch is, from the low end to the very high end. So we're going to be talking about
Seikos.
Seiko,
Seikos.
that famous brand.
So, first of all, let's not forget, we've got a wristwatch to do.
We have
Wristwatch
indeed.
check. So what are you wearing?
I am wearing a Seiko. You've seen this before. This is my Seiko Regatta. Beautiful colours, great for doing water sports and great to be on the river with. And also today, as part of our wrist check, we have wearing our belts today because all three of us went through and did karate, and we've got Max with his brown belt and Eliot with his blue belt.
I skipped a couple to go to birthday party.
And Jason with his black belt.
Very dedicated.
There you go.
Right. So, Max, what are you wearing?
I'm wearing the Seiko Samurai. We've covered this in another episode, I won't talk too much about it. But as we showed in the NATO episode, or the strap episode, again I'm wearing it on a different strap. I think every single month I will put this on a different strap.
Strap monster.
I like that one. It's really incredible how it changes the watch completely, as we saw in our strap episode. But we changed the watch completely. It just looks like a different watch, and so very cool.
Eliot, what do you have?
I'm wearing something vintage today, so I'm wearing a Seiko 5-Actus SS, which is for a second stop. So the hand is Aki. So yeah, this is from 1969, and even the date is in kanji. So we'll show that later, as you can see.
Fabulous.
Oh yeah,
So
Very cool.
nice. So that's pretty cool.
Very good
nice
find.
watch. So that's what I'm wearing. So today we're going to talk about a bit more or less about everything about Seiko. So a little bit about the history, why everyone likes Seiko, why we like Seiko, and then whatever you decided to talk about. And so yeah, so Max, do you want to start us up with the history?
Yeah, of course. So Seiko was started by a man called Kintaro Hattori, and he began selling in Ginza in Tokyo. And it started in 1881, but it's only in 1892 that it became the name Seiko. And actually it started at Seiko Sha, not Seiko, and it came from the idea that Seiko, that meant exquisite, minute, or success in the Japanese translation, and Sha, which meant the house. And that's because a lot of the work that he used to do was in restorations of clocks. Back in the days, as we know, in the late 19th century, it wasn't so much about having wristwatches, it was more so about having clocks and to a certain extent pocket watches. And so,
For those horological geeks, do you know the first branded Seiko that actually had Seiko on the actual dial itself was in 1924?
yes, indeed.
That's what he's going to talk about later, isn't it?
Yeah, so I don't need to present anything.
I've just taken the punchline.
Yeah, it seems like it. You jumped the gun there.
He jumped the gun. So I will show you what it looked like, actually. Or I'll show you what came just before the one of the first Seiko. So I'm going to be talking about 12 iconic Seiko pieces. The first one is the Laurel. So this is officially the first wristwatch that was ever made in Japan. And that comes from Seiko. And in 1924, so 11 years later, it was finally branded with the word Seiko. They were also the first one to make the stopwatch, which was instrumental in the Tokyo Olympic Games. So you can see here with the chronograph. They were also the first Japanese diving watch that could sustain over 150 meters, which, if you've seen our podcast talking about diving watches, it is instrumental to have something that is more than just 30 meters. You need a couple of 100 meters to even be qualified or certified as a diving watch. As we go on, should we show the picture? No, it will be on screen. The magic of editing will mean that
He's not listening.
it will just be up.
Okay.
As we all know, the quartz crisis that happened in the 1970s, Seiko was once again at the front of it, and it's with the Seiko Quartz Astron, and this completely changed how the horological community saw the necessity of timekeeping. It's less so about keeping the best time, but actually the art and the science behind it, and making sure that it's more attention with the decoration. Now we're going to get into some that are a little bit more quirky. So this watch right here is the first multifunctional digital watch. And so what that means is it could tell the time and do another function. In this one, it could do lap functions. So Seiko was the first to do that. Seiko was the first to introduce basically the Apple Watch. This is a Seiko
Isn't
watch.
that fabulous?
It's great. How awesome is that?
Almost Back to the Future-esque.
It's this is actually shown in a James Bond movie, and he's actually watching, and he's watching something something a bit explicit on
very
his
cool.
wristwatch, which we can guess what it is.
How very cool.
Japanese
I had a Sony Walkman
men
when I was
finishing.
a kid. I had a Sony Walkman, huge thing, put on my belt, massive sort of thing to listen to music.
Yeah, he's old.
This is very cool.
That's very cool. And then it got more interesting. We got more into the future. So this is the Seiko with the first voice recording capabilities. These are the Seiko Kinetic, which we honestly, it's not a sub-brand of Seiko that I care about, but what it does is, essentially, it's a quartz watch that is able to be powered mechanically, which I think is it's a bigger step than actually the spring drive, if I'm totally honest, in terms of,
It's quite smart.
innovation.
I mean, I don't know how much power you're actually getting through the weight to balance, but
It's perpetual.
then there you go.
If it's an automatic reset, it's perpetual.
That's right.
Now this watch is very interesting. This is
Another
even
James
closer
Bond.
to Apple Watch.
The Bond villain watch.
And you can see with the Seiko keyboard that we'll see on screen, you could actually transmit information, lines of text, information about phone numbers, all of that on your wrist.
What's cool about this piece is actually you can wear it off and on that big gimbal. The big gimbal doesn't come with it.
No, yes.
So you can take it off, and when you come home, you put it on this, and you can text your mates.
Awesome.
What's up?
What's up?
Let's go drink some sake.
And here are the last three I'm going to talk about. And I think one of them is a type of watch that you won't know about. So this is very interesting. So first, just from a diver's perspective, Seiko were the first ones to actually bring in the first computerized diver's watch. So it's called the Scuba Master. So it could give you the dive table, the depth meter functions, everything that you would actually find in a diving watch that isn't a mechanical diving watch. They also introduced in 2006 the first e-ink watch. Wow. Now this is a type of watch that you will not see much nowadays, but what this means is they're almost like tiny pebbles, tiny black pebbles on the screen that will form.
I think I remember seeing that, but it's super unique. You wear it on your wrist.
It's the entire bracelet can change based on what you're wearing. So I've seen versions of it. These are mostly Chinese companies that will make the bracelet. You can customize what your bracelet looks like based on these things. And so Seiko were the pioneers in making the first e-ink watch. It just died out, which is really weird because I think this is a cooler way of telling the time than
The
a
ink
lot of
went
other ones.
You have to replace the ink
Need a new cartridge.
That would be a pain. If it worked like an actual printer, every 2 minutes.
Ah, now.
Yeah.
Now this one, I saw this one in Japan.
Did you?
Fabulous.
This
Absolutely
is
fabulous.
perfect way for me to finish, and this is the Seiko Astron, which is essentially a GPS system, which means that wherever you are in the world, it's able to recalculate and rebalance, which it kind of, at that point, they've
Now that's the perfect pilot watch. That
beaten
means that as you take off in Moscow and you arrive in New York, it automatically will go to the local time. So wherever you go, it automatically changes as soon as it hits a satellite.
I know many.
Really clever.
I know many long haul pilots who wear it just because of easyability. Because every couple of days they're flying somewhere new, and setting the time in different time zone is annoying for them. So you land, it automatically syncs. You know your local time and your away time. It's super easy for pilots.
That's super interesting.
And respect to say they do some very, very beautiful dials with some depth of colour and flavours, and they really have given that a little bit of step above the norm.
So I'm going to talk about why people love Seiko. Why is that? I think, to me, Seiko is a rite of passage. It's usually when you start collecting watches, you might collect some fashion watches in the beginning. You'll buy maybe a Michael Kors that looks nice and sharp. But when you want to take it seriously, you Google online, and you usually always go through Seiko. To me, that's always the first thing because of the variety they have. I mean, they have watches from sub 100 to all the way to a couple thousand. And then if you go to the different brands, you go to Grand Seiko, you go to Credo, to hundreds of thousands. So I think that's a big reason because you've got accessibility. So now you can have someone who's a student and you can buy a watch for 50 quid and it's automatic and it's mechanical and it's a Seiko 5. So then you've got the quality. I mean, if you think about it, what watches are in-house at these prices? Technically, all of Seiko is in-house. It's all done in the same factory. So at least you have that. You have a really high quality watch. I mean, if you look at the SKX, like this watch here, you've got a watch that you can get usually sub 200 meters of water resistance, screw down crown. I mean,
and a huge number of independents use the Seiko movement.
Then
the NH38 is seen in the majority of none of
Well, 38 as well, but 35. Yeah, I think the 38 is a no-date version.
Look
Correct
at
me,
you.
'cause I'm probably wrong. But anyway, so yeah, that's the thing. So you got a lot of variety, and I've got pictures here. So I've got the SKX you got there, so you got that around $200. Then if you go a little bit higher, you've got the Presage, you've got the Cocktail Times. Cocktail Times are fantastic watches. You really should get one, and these are around 500 to $1,000. These have absolutely beautiful dials. So from there, you've got Prospects and other stuff, and you can go higher. You can go to Marine Masters. Marine Masters now, your watches at $3-4 grand, but these are watches that are really tough and built to last a lifetime, not like the SKX. So you can see how they design and build the same thing. It's a dive watch with 200 meters, but at a completely different level of manufacturing. So to me, that's a really good thing of why. Other than that, after is the collectability. I mean, there's so many pieces and there's so many cult classics that you want to have. And when you buy watches, you're like, okay, I want an SKX. Yeah, I've got to have one. Oh, a Samurai. Okay, I've got to have a Samurai. And then I've got to have this. So that's a big reason. And for me, the last one is the TV representation and what actors wear. I mean, there are many movies where they're wearing. So in this is the one, for example. This was in Aliens. This is the Seiko Giugiaro. So this is the Ripley. It was the actual name. So you have that. You have the Seiko Arnie that was wearing in Commando. You have in Ghostbusters. You have the Seiko voice memo, I think it was. And you got all of these movies of cult watches that you just want to collect. I mean, I would love a Giugiaro. Do you not want one now?
They're fabulous looking watches. And you can step it up one more. So the Grand Seiko series. Grand Seiko themselves. I was very lucky to be in Japan just recently, and I went to the Seiko shop in Dream Square. They had highlighted, they didn't have their full range there, but they did highlight some of the particular watches they had. That's where I saw the Actron, the fabulous sort of GPS. But I also saw a number of the Grand Seikos. And what's so beautiful about them, not just the movement themselves, but even their quartzes have got some technology that protects them. They're accurate to within a few seconds a year. That protects them from any electronic objects around. But the quality of materials, the quality of the bracelet, the quality of the craftsmanship, some of the dials was truly stunning. And these are watches that really actually do stand up to a Rolex. So truly fascinating.
I mean, you look at the finishing on a Grand Seiko, on the dial and the movement compared to a Rolex.
That's true.
That's some super. So that's definitely on the wish list. Now, these particular watches may not be on my wish list, but I found it truly fascinating.
Oh, God.
There's a small underground movement of homage watches. Now, normally homage watches, they fake the name or don't put a name. But there's a movement of Seiko that actually do. This is why I call them the Seikos. So this particular one...
At least we'll allow that. We'll allow that.
It's a good categorization.
So this particular one, I'm sure you recognise what that particular watch kind of looks like.
Is it a Monaco?
So there's the fabulous Daytona, but they haven't hidden. They've got Seiko on the dial. Here's another one that you can see. And now look, the actual watch is just behind on this one, and this one looks like the.
I think I hate this
Yachtmaster.
This is
Yeah,
definitely
exactly.
Yachtmaster.
But it's got Seiko on the dial, so it's a group that are modifying their Seiko watches, having fun with it. But they're not trying to. They're homaging to a point, but they're not trying to pretend that it isn't actually what it is. I mean, this is my favourite of all of them. This is the Seiko Santos with the exact
Santos.
numerals, the blue hands. There's even got blue on the edge of the dial, and then the screw on the bracelet. It's absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, you have to love it because there is an aspect of it where they're taking a little bit of a joke or mockery about these super luxury brands where you can get a same looking design, you can get a same looking feel, aesthetic. without needing the big brand on it. Now, from a design perspective,
$200.
design infringement,
Yeah,
obviously,
They've stolen
it
much
hurts
innovation,
my heart a bit.
completely stolen.
But from a
it.
humoristic point of view and not taking yourself too seriously,
Yeah, I mean, that's something I
it's
really like
great.
is you got the Seiko model community, which is huge. And they make everything. You can get Seiko Nautiluses, you can get Seiko whatever you can imagine. And I think it's really cool. I mean, if you don't want to spend $3,000 on a Seamaster, but you want the Seamaster look,
I
don't know.
I respect modders more than fakers.
yeah.
That is my-
Because they're not trying to sell you a fake watch. They're not trying to say this
Yeah.
isn't, or
Exactly.
this is a Cartier, as you would find in
This is-
a number of
it's-
markets
it's
around
a
the
Seiko.
world. They're actually saying it's a Seiko, but they've absolutely taken their design. And everyone copies everybody. Now, clearly, if you're wearing the Yachtmaster, you're still going to get mugged in the street, but
Probably.
they'll only get away with the Seiko.
That's true.
You have one?
Not
No.
yet, but there is the Grand Seiko. It probably is on the wish list for one of these rainy days.
And one conversation we didn't have yet, but as you were covering all the different types of brands, what I'm a little bit scared of with Grand Seiko, for instance, is because every brand is getting, and you should check out our episode about pet peeves where we cover this topic, but Seikos are gradually getting more and more expensive, and the lineup is getting a bit crazier. And I'm a little bit scared for the Grand Seiko side, where are they going to also drastically increase their prices to match all
Yeah,
of
a
these?
lot
or-
of Seiko, as we talked about, Pepis, have increased in price. And that is quite annoying. Because I remember 10 years ago they'd be much cheaper than they are now.
much more accessible.
But maybe that's maybe that's many brands.
They mirror Rolex. They're 5 to 10K for a really good Grand Seiko.
For Grand Seiko.
Spring drive starting
Grand
around
Seiko.
5K.
Yeah. Don't have that kind of money.
But with that quality of craftsmanship materials, probably
Is
worth
it
it.
worth it? Let us know. Let us know in the comments.
Indeed.
So,
I
anything else
think
to add?
it's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
It's a web.
So, again, we need to like,
Subscribe.
comment, ting a bell, and
See you next time.
see you next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Konnichiwa. Sayonara.
Sayonara. Not konnichiwa.